Hello everyone. Welcome back to the questions based on jurisprudence. The first question. How does Article 142(2) extend the court's power? It grants the Supreme Court authority to issue any directions or orders necessary for complete justice, even overriding procedural limitations. How do courts protect individual rights and liberties? Courts ensure their laws and government actions do not violate constitutional or legal rights, acting as guardians of the Constitution. What is judicial review? Judicial review is the power of courts to examine the constitutionality of laws, governmental actions, and policies, striking them down if they violate the Constitution. What are the two fundamental branches of the legal system? Civil justice system and a criminal justice system. What is the primary purpose of the civil justice system? To resolve private disputes and provide remedies for legal wrongs that are not criminal in nature. Who are the parties involved in a civil case? The plaintiff or complainant and the defendant. What does the natural law school believe about justice? Justice is inherent in the moral order of the universe, and laws should reflect moral principles. Who are notable thinkers of the natural law school? Aquinas and Finis. What is the main idea of legal positivism regarding justice? Justice is separate from law. Laws are valid based on the source and the procedures, not morality. Who are key figures in legal positivism? H. L. A. Hart and John Austin. What is the burden of proof in civil cases? The burden of proof is on the plaintiff, with the standard being a preponderance of the evidence. What is the doctrine of stare decisis? Stare decisis doctrine refers to the principle of following judicial precedents, ensuring consistency in legal decisions. How do courts contribute to maintaining social order? Courts uphold legal norms, punish violations, and provide legal remedies to maintain law and order in society. What is the significance of courts interpreting laws? Courts clarify legal provisions, resolve ambiguities, and ensure laws adapt to evolving societal needs. Why was Article 142 included in the Constitution? To ensure the Supreme Court to fill legal gaps and ensure justice beyond the technical legal constraints. What is the key limitation of Article 142? Article 142 cannot be used arbitrarily and must align with constitutional principles. Name a landmark case where Article 142 was invoked. BCCI versus Cricket Association of Bihar 2016. It was used to ensure transparency in cricket governance. How was Article 142 used in R.S. Joshi versus Ajit Mills 1977? The Supreme Court passed an order ensuring the enforcement of a right despite the absence of a statutory provision. What are the key characteristics of a just society? Equal rights, access to justice, protection of fundamental freedoms, and a fair distribution of resources. How is justice related to power? Justice ensures that power is fairly distributed and it does not lead to oppression or inequality. Why is democracy important for a just society? It promotes participation, accountability, and a protection of individual rights. According to legal positivism, what determines the validity of a law? Its source and adherence to proper legal procedures, not its moral correctness. Who are the key theorists of legal positivism? Jeremy Bentham, John Austin, and H.L.A. Hart. How did John Austin define law? As the command of a sovereign backed by sanctions. How does natural law relate to environmental and social justice? It provides a foundation for addressing issues like climate change, economic inequality, and social rights. What is the central argument of natural law regarding the legitimacy of laws? Laws must align with the moral and ethical principles to be considered legitimate. What is the focus of legal realism? Law is shaped by social realities and judicial decisions. Which legal thinkers are associated with legal realism? Oliver Wendell Holmes and Jerome Frank. What does critical legal studies or CLS say about justice? Law and justice are influenced by power dynamics and often serve the interest of the powerful. What is an example of critical legal studies in practice? Challenging laws that perpetuate class, race, and gender inequalities. What is sociological jurisprudence? Sociological jurisprudence is a theory of law that emphasizes the relationship between law and society, viewing law as a social institution that must adapt to societal changes. What are the consequences of violating the laws? Sanctions such as fines, imprisonment, or other penalties. What is the regulatory function of law? Law regulates behavior by prescribing acceptable conduct and offering remedies for violations. Why is Article 142 important for public interest cases? It allows the court to provide remedies where existing legal provisions are inadequate. What does complete justice mean under Article 142? It means justice should not be hindered by legal technicalities and must ensure fairness. Can the Supreme Court make laws under Article 142? No, the court cannot create laws. It can only issue necessary orders within constitutional limits. What is H.L.A. Hart's concept of the rule of recognition? A fundamental rule that establishes the criteria for identifying valid laws. What is a major criticism of legal positivism? It can validate unjust laws by separating law from morality. What is the core idea of autonomous theories of law? Law is a self-contained system with its own principles, independent of external moral or political considerations. What are common outcomes of civil cases? Monetary compensation, specific performance, or injunctions? Give 2 examples of civil cases. Contract disputes and personal injury cases. What is the first step in a civil case? The plaintiff files a complaint or petition in court. What happens after a summons is issued in a civil case? The defendant is required to respond to the complaint. What does the discovery phase in a civil case involve? Both parties exchange evidence before the trial. How does Hans Kelsen's pure theory of law define law? As a hierarchy of norms derived from a fundamental ground norm or basic norm. What is one similarity between positivist and autonomous theories? Both emphasize law as a structured, rule-based system. What does it mean that a law has a normative character? Law establishes standards of behavior that individuals must follow and enforces them through sanctions. What is the main idea of sociological jurisprudence? Laws should evolve based on societal needs and values. Who is a key proponent of sociological jurisprudence? Roscoe Pound. What is the relationship between law and justice according to sociological jurisprudence? Justice is achieved when laws reflect the changing needs of society. How does law derive its authority? Law derives its authority from the state and is enforced by courts, police, and regulatory bodies.